Hey everyone, Revision 3 is conducting a survey, and we'd really appreciate it if you could just take a few minutes and participate at revision3.com/survey. We want to know a little more about who you are for a couple of reasons. One, we use the information to steer and drive our programming so that we can be giving you the content that you want. Two, we also want to make sure that we're delivering targeted and relevant messaging for our sponsors. Advertisers support our shows and allow us to stay in business and keep making new shows. When you take the survey, there'll be a little special bonus video from Revision 3. If you've got a few minutes to spare, head over to revision3.com/survey, and thank you very much.
Hey, welcome to iFanboy, the video podcast from the comic book discussion site iFanboy.com. I'm Connor. I'm here with Josh and Azriel.
Azriel! I'm Ron. Like he said, I'm Josh. If you have listened to the audio show for a long time, you probably know that Ron, at least previously, had some sort of prejudice against the book The Sandman by Neil Gaiman and various artists.
And by extension, the entire Vertigo line.
It's true. We did a show about this a long time ago.
His prejudice from The Sandman led to him dismissing the entire line of Vertigo
So
books.
he was challenged by, I believe, the readers. Or the
a lot of the readers, the listeners, audience,
they said,
viewers.
The iFan base.
Yeah, fan base.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's...
I've been using that for
I know.
months.
I like it.
Okay. He was challenged to read the book, and he said, fine, I'm going to go ahead and read it. And so he read all of it.
All 10 volumes.
There's apparently 11.
Right, well, he read all 10 volumes here. I read them too because I'm also on the show.
Okay.
And I never read them, so I decided to also read them.
And they were my books.
Yes.
So I am the default Sandman. I was the expert, I suppose.
You were the Sandman fan. It's your favorite series.
No, it's not.
That's been the it either.
I do like it. I think it's very good. It's not one of my favorite things. I get why people like it.
Yeah.
I think it's very good. I'm glad I own it. I will read it again. I've read it at least twice now.
Okay,
so
before we dive into that stuff, let's just explain Neil Gaiman's Sandman. This is like the most famous Vertigo series. It's the one that really put it on the map.
It started before Vertigo existed, and it was actually one of the books that made it become Vertigo. We talked about that in our Vertigo show. Neil Gaiman wrote it with a rotating cast of artists through the years.
Yeah,
different
a lot
artists.
of great artists. People whose names you would recognize.
Sam Keith, Colleen Doran,
Jill Thompson,
Bocciolo.
Michael Zulli,
Chris Bocciolo,
Brian Talbot,
Mike Allred did one story here too.
Kelly Jones, Charles Vess. I mean, just tons of great artists.
Dick Giordano.
Which I was shocked by.
So as you Disraeli.
Yep. Lots of people, lots of different artists.
And it's sort of it's a big overarching story about the Dream King, whereas basically you've got and like I said, they're not even gods. They're called the Endless.
They're more than gods.
Yeah, they're more than gods. They're just always there, and it's Dream who is the king of dreams. So basically, there's
Morpheus.
a kingdom, and all of your dreams are real things that actually live in his kingdom, and he's in control of all those things after you fall asleep, basically.
His realm is called the Dreaming.
Then his sister's Death. Of course, she's in charge of Death. Delirium, craziness. Desire, the brother Destiny, who's got the big book. He knows what's going to happen. Destruction, the missing brother. And Despair, the sad little fat weird thing.
With the creepy
the fish hook.
The fishhook ring, and she's always cutting herself, and it's
They are the dreaming. They are the endless, not the dreaming. They're the endless.
So really, what this is at the very core is a story about that family, and it's actually about their own dysfunctional family.
Yep.
Which is sort of for me the way that I was able to hook onto it at a human level.
And by extension, Morpheus's family.
Yes.
Morpheus
being the dream.
Dream King.
He's got many names.
Yes, Morpheus.
Yeah. And as they go through the story, there's a search for the brother Destruction and what happened to him. And it starts off with Morpheus has been held captive for a very long time. And so he breaks out and reclaims his kingdom, and he's got stuff to clean up. And
he inherits hell at one point, the key to hell.
Lucifer, who had a series by Mike Carey later, Lucifer's from this series. It's a really good story. I really like that one. That's basically it. They go on little adventures. They meet things. It sort of intersects with other cultural myths. There's the Egyptian myths, and then they meet up with the Norse gods at one point.
Yep. Loki plays a big part in this.
Yep. So that's and then Dream has a journey to undertake, and it's about that. And I don't really so much want to give away the end.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't spoil the ending like we didn't do with Preacher. So let's not do that.
Oh, hey! So Josh called me to do the promo this week, and he said something about salmon. I was like, salmon? I don't get it, but whatever. So we've got some great fresh ingredients here. We've got some onions, some parsley, olive oil, vinegar, and of course the salmon. So we're going to make a great dish here in a minute. But first, head over to GoDaddy.com, enter the coupon code iFanboy. You get 10% off all your purchases. You can get domain names, email, whatever you want. The internet is there for you. So do that. When you get back, we're going to go ahead and make something up.
All right, so Ron, this is all about you. You have all these notions about Sandman. You've read them all now. Give us and them.
It's almost like he doesn't want to touch himself.
Your take. Give us your take on Sandman.
Well, first off, when reading The Sandman, you need to be listening to The Cure. Number one. It helps. It sets the mood a little.
All right.
No, I'm kidding.
Just take it away.
The thing about Sandman is that because a certain type really kind of embraced Sandman in the mid-90s.
What type is that?
I don't know. They had a definitive look. And the whole death character and Tori Amos and all that kind of stuff, and the goth kind of look and feel really kind of embraced this book and really brought it to the level of success that it did. I respect that. I understand it. I've gone on record before that the more fantasy-based kind of books aren't really my bag, mind you. That said, I read all 10 volumes, and it wasn't awful. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best thing I've ever read. I mean, I'm not running around, I didn't buy them. I'm not running around buying it for other people. I understand what it is. Neil Gaiman is a excellent writer. His craft and his skill is fantastic.
Do you think it's the best Neil Gaiman that you've read?
Probably. I haven't read his books. I'm not well versed on Neil Gaiman, I'll be honest with you. There's only so many hours in the day. I'm busy.
Better than 1602.
Better than 1602. A lot better than 1602. Yeah. Not as good as his issue of Spawn, though. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, it was very, very, very good. I enjoyed how it was this universe, and how I liked the roles. I liked the family aspect. I liked the different characters, learning more about them, stuff like that. What I found really interesting is that for a book called The Sandman, he's not in it a lot. He's in it maybe half the time.
Yeah, he's hardly in a lot of it.
Yeah, there would be volumes where I'm like, well, where's the Sandman?
Where's Captain America?
But it's kind of like, it made a whole blue out of nothing. Other thing I liked, and I understand in looking at it, because I read it, and this becomes the issue trade debate and all, like we kind of always end up on that, but I got really thrown off because there would be one trade where I feel like it would gain momentum, there'd be a big story arc and there'd be stuff going on, and then the next trade, rug pulled out from under you, fill an artist, they're all
different.
Right, yeah, no, but on a story arc, there would be one artist across that story arc, and you'd start to like it, and then you'd get a bunch of the one-off kind of stories. Mm-hmm. The one that drove me nuts was Volume 8, World's End, with all the stories that apparently had nothing to do with anything at the inn.
Which is one of my favorite books.
Yeah. So this one was the hardest for me to read.
Basically, at the end of the world is an inn, and all of these people are sort of stranded there, and they all tell a different story. Each story is drawn by a different. It's an anthology. You're the one who likes anthology.
I know, which is ironic, and you're the one who hates anthology.
Well,
actually, Conor had that point.
My take on reading this was I have no idea why you, Josh, like this book.
Okay.
Because
And
it
it's
seems
his
to be everything you don't like about comics. There's not one overarching story.
There is two.
It's very light.
It's very light. It's thin, but it is there.
It's very, very thin.
I think the whole thing is about Morpheus coming to terms with who he is and what he has to do in his.
Right, but that's not a plot. That's an overarching theme. There's no overarching plot. It's a series of anthologies. That's a whole anthology book. Most of these stories.
Every other one is an anthology.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it a lot. After getting through the first trade, which was hard to get through.
I'll give you that. A lot of people will tell you that Preludes and Nocturnes. Gaiman didn't have a whole lot of experience at this point. He'd done the Black Orchid.
Yeah.
And
I called Ron because we were reading at the same time, and I said I was in the middle of the first trade. I was like, this feels like homework. Like I'm having trouble getting through this. But once I busted through the first one,
I said get through it.
Yeah. I flew through.
You two were calling each other about the Sandman.
Give me back my curiosity.
And it's really well written, and I enjoyed it a lot. But I found myself wondering why you liked it so much, because it's not your normal thing, and it's real well written, and that should be enough. But
I mean, it is. I mean, I would say that's probably it. And
I thought it was very intelligent. It was very a lot of the literature, the whole kind of Shakespearean kind of thing. I like the idea of him through time and seeing the effect on the world that you might have not known. And there were things that were sprinkled, like a bit of you were introduced some characters early on, and then it goes back to them later on.
Yeah.
And there was a time thing. I mean, it's got everything that makes a good comic. I get it from a technical standpoint why it's good. It
you
just
feel you didn't really connect with it in the way that many people did.
It's just so.
Do you really find it like
yes,
that?
I didn't really sound like
See,
that.
the main character, Dream, is. I get the idea.
I liked him a lot.
I did like him a
I liked
lot.
him a
And
lot.
he's kind of tired of his station. He doesn't know what to do next.
Yeah.
And he's come back and he's reclaimed his kingdom and he's
a lot
there.
of this.
But also he's depressed
Yeah.
because he can't find love because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, it's about how he ruins all the relationships he's had. But he's like, he knows that because of his position, he's trapped where he's not really happy about that. How
Right.
many day jobs does that sound like?
No, it does. Yeah.
It's his destiny.
Oh, hey, welcome back. Yeah, I'm just getting the pan right to the right temperature. I've got some olive oil in there. You're going to get it sauteing. I'm going to chop up this onion here in a second. But first, why don't you go over to www.netflix.com/iFanboy. You get a 2-week free trial. There's no delivery fees. There's no late fees. You can get whatever movie you want. It's phenomenal. And do that, and then we're going to get back to this salmon. Can't wait.
Were there any characters or any things that you did connect to or that you liked a lot?
I don't know. I like the supporting characters in the Dreaming. I like the librarian a lot.
Yeah,
I know you're a big fan of the Raven.
I like Matthew the Raven.
Yeah.
Merv Pumpkinhead's good for a little bit of.
Pumpkinhead could have been pumpkined out of the storyline in front. My favorite story, which I really, really liked, was the one story where Morpheus through time with that guy.
Yes, I really like that one. That was really good. Yes, I
that
like
was
that.
Fantastic.
Because it was more historical than it was. Yeah.
No, but I just love the conceit of it. I love that they met up, and I love the cultural, how culturally true it was for each
The
meeting.
modern hobgaddling at the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah.
No, that was
so
good.
Like 80s, like bad ponytail hobgaddling. And I love that he had a friend.
Yeah.
Because it revealed a layer too. Because up to that point he was kind of cold, and this is someone he liked, and you could tell in the story
He had
liked.
some growth.
Yeah,
He was
I know.
good.
What I wanted to like, I started out going, okay, this is going to be a good one, and ended up hating was the road trip looking for the destruction, the lost brother,
Right.
with that. So Delirium.
Delirium, I always had a hard time.
Yeah, and this is again is more of an executional thing. Because Delirium is meant to be Delirium, her speech bubbles are kind of tie-dyed, and the lettering is really kind of whimsical and all of the kind of thing. Really hard to read. Really like a pain in the
I
butt.
think it's supposed to be.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah, no,
I think that one of the things that stands out about this, people don't talk about, and it's very possible he won Eisner's during this time, but Todd Klein's lettering, every character had his own like lettering theme, which is really kind of cool. I really
You
liked
never had a problem knowing who was talking.
Yeah.
Not once.
Morpheus had his own style of lettering, own color.
Yeah.
Unlike the books today, where sometimes you don't know who the hell's talking.
Right. But so with that storyline with Delirium, so aside from her word balloons, I was able. Okay, cool. We get into this. It's a cool road trip. They're in the real world, all that kind of stuff, and it just ended abruptly. It's just like you just kind of, you know, it was just like, well, it was like a big tease, you know.
I'm fearing listening to us talk that people who haven't read Sandman are sort of confused. But the thing is, this book jumps all over the place. It's not a single storyline. Like
it's not point A to point B.
I had a friend. This is my friend who first told me what Sandman was like in college, and he wanted me to read it. And I remember specifically that he was like, no, start with the first one. Read 2, then 1, then 5, then 4.
Well, here on the back of number 10, The Wake, it says, The Wake is the 10th and penultimate volume of the Sandman library. While the Sandman volumes can be read out of order, The Wake is best read after all the other books.
Yeah.
So really,
they're individual.
there is no plot that you follow through the whole thing. There's a light thread and there's development, so it makes more sense to read all this.
There's an overarching
You can
thing.
pick up a random book and read one. You know,
But the ones near the end really are the ones that are starting to tie, especially in volumes 9 and 10. I thought 9, for me, it's sort of 9's a big old thick one. It's bigger than the
9. That was a punch in the gut because I'm getting through these. We're getting close to shoot day. I'm like, I gotta finish these books, and I pick up 9, and it's twice as big as every other.
And I really like the art in this one.
9 had the best art.
The 9 had the best art, and I enjoyed that story, and I kind of felt going to the climax of it. What happened is I felt I felt
okay,
it.
good.
I didn't like her.
I'm not coldless.
The girl that's involved in the climax, Lolita.
Yeah.
I didn't like her at all.
Yeah. When it happened, I was like, ah. But then there was the one thing with the baby that was really distracting to me. I don't know if it was in this one or the one before. I think it's in the one before, where there's the woman who is depressed and has the baby, and then the apartment and the friend taking care of her and all that kind of stuff. And that was really rough. It was really it wasn't a smooth read. So.
And then I really thought I also really enjoyed The Wake, the end, the last sort of chapter, which is sort of a reflective look back. There's a wake, that's what it's called, and lots of characters from the rest of the book show up in it, and it was a very nice,
as well as Batman and Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, because they're all sort of part of that same world. In the very beginning, John Constantine shows up. Swamp Thing, I think, shows up in here somewhere. It has dalliances with the DC universe.
Yeah,
because it started.
There's some too. Yeah.
And what's funny is in a DC book recently, like there's something happens in Sandman that is in the DC universe canon. The Justice League canon. Yeah, so it's
which if you know that sort of spoils the big ending for this, but I really liked Rose.
Yeah.
I really liked her storyline.
Yeah.
Is she the witch?
No, she's the redhead.
The redhead
with the yellow stripe.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah, definitely.
Her grandmother woke up.
That's a good story. I was a big fan. I thought Fiddler's Green was a really interesting story.
Yeah.
Where you think he's a person, but he's not.
Yeah.
I thought the Corinthian is one of the scariest characters I've ever. He has teeth in his eyes. And
I love the serial killer convention.
That was fun.
Yeah, I think that's where it picked up for me, and I was like, okay, now I'm into this.
Yeah, and then it wavered.
This
was rough, wasn't it? World's End was rough.
No, I love that. It was great. See, this is when I'm reading. Like, wow, Josh likes this.
I love
anthology.
World's End is one of my favorite ones because.
No, this was fantastic.
I mean, the thing is, they were a bunch of really good stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of times with anthologies, what you get are a bunch of stories that don't have anything to do with each other and aren't of same quality, I suppose.
Yep.
And the thing is, at no point when I'm reading this book did I think that Neil Gaiman was phoning it in.
Yeah.
Like every time I thought he's really thinking.
The weird thing though is that Morpheus is hardly even in this one.
He's hardly in any of them. No, he's hardly
really
in that one. Yeah, he's not in that one at all. Yeah.
No, he's in the end.
It's all over the place. There's different styles. Like he gets into Middle Eastern fables, and he gets into just Egyptian and all Greek, and he's all over the place. And I really like that. There's all these threads. I actually think that this book is better than most of the books of his that I've read. And I've read a few of his novels.
This is his masterpiece. No matter what he's going to write, novel, comic book, this is good.
Yeah, because if you put these together, 10 or 11 volumes, that's a big
much better than Eternals.
There is, Oh, that's the other thing you read of his, the Eternals.
What?
You think you read the Eternals?
I read the Eternals, I can't read an issue. That was good. It was this is better.
His thing is always
Romita.
gods. It's always about gods.
Yeah.
And how they
Well, clearly he likes mythology.
walk among us.
Yeah.
Or how they. It's like a lot of them are people discovering that they happen to be gods.
Yeah.
And he's done that many times now.
Yeah.
There's two types of stories in this, but there's the plot, which has Morpheus dealing with his inner workings in his family and his kingdom, and there's kind of the Twilight Zone stories where Morpheus sort of shows up and goes, blaha.
At the end of it, he's like, I will grant this.
And then he walks away, and then you have the story. You follow the characters, and he shows up at the end and it goes, You see?
I like the first.
Cigarette and
I like the first. Turns to me.
talks very staccato.
I like the first, and not the former, not the latter. I like the ones that had to do with the politics of the family. The more Morpheus, the better for me, as far as I'm concerned.
Really? But
And
he's the whiny part that you don't like.
No, I know, but that was when stuff actually happened. That's when stuff actually happened. You know what I mean? Like that was, so.
See, I think that the asides in this help to flesh out the main part of it. Maybe when
And a lot of
reading
these
all
sides come back to roost.
Yeah, which is very nice because you think. I'm trying to think. There's other books where you think that you're out doing something that has nothing to do with it, and then it comes back that it plays back in.
I've never read a book like this where so much time is spent just on other things. So I have a hard time relating it to another book. But even the stuff that you think is just throwaway stories, half the time comes back.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see how much. I was like, oh yeah, that, yeah. So. And it was helpful to read it all in one sitting, as opposed to not one sitting, but over.
That was a long sitting.
It was a long.
Even I think the last time that I read it, I think it still took me about a year and a half to get through the whole thing.
Oh really? Oh, I did it in a few weeks.
I was missing. Well, I was giving you the books.
Oh right. Oh, I'm sorry.
You buy them.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
All right, we've got the pan all ready. I've got the onion in there. I've got the mushroom in there. And now it's just time to unleash the salmon. Salmon? Really? Yeah, that's what Josh said. Salmon. Really. www.jinx.com/iFanboy. You can get your iFanboy the Intern t-shirt. I'm going back to cooking, I guess.
Yeah, but this made me. I mean, reading it made me want to buy it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I really liked it a lot.
I'm very glad.
Not me.
Even one of these trades I read in a single sitting at night, like at 2 in the morning, because I couldn't put it down. I don't remember which one. One of the shorter ones.
And I do have to admit the absolute editions are probably beautiful. The large.
Oh, Wake's End. Wake's End I read in one sitting.
Yeah.
World's End.
World's End.
World's End, and then The Wake.
Right.
They're all W's.
So, you feeling any growth?
I know. I feel I can now say.
Are you ready to exercise your Sandman demon?
What? I can check that box. I've read it. I speak accurately. I don't back down from my making fun of it because of what the association with it.
That doesn't really have anything to do with the story.
No, it doesn't. No.
Can you now release Vertigo from its?
Well, yeah, I think we've already. Yes. I think we've already. I think
But
we did that in the previous show.
I think you still resist trying to Vertigo.
No, actually, I'm reading more Vertigo than ever now. I mean, between DMZ and Exterminators and stuff like that, I'm going to start reading Scalp. So I mean, like, I think
Can I get you to try Lucifer?
I want to reread it now because you got me the Lucifer trade. I think for birthday or Christmas a couple of years ago. And I read it. And I was like, I think now after having read this, it probably would be better.
Take it slow, cowboy. Let's go. Yeah. So let's just
He'll come in
ease
with
into
his
it.
hair all dyed yellow and wearing white suits,
I just wanted 2 little points here.
playing piano.
I don't know how they do this all the time.
Lucifer's like the best
is
character
that
to come
itchy?
out of it.
It's a little itchy. I'm just conscious of it.
Does your face feel greasy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, if you have you want to send an email in and give Ron some more fashion tips, how you can look a little more goth, you can send it to contact@ifanboy.com, or you can write about Sandman, or what you thought if you read it, or any other questions, because it is kind of all over the place, hard to summarize.
Or if you're really depressed and you need somebody to talk to,
Don't call us, there's a suicide
you
line.
can call us at 1-888-FANBOYS. That's 1-888-326-2697.
Or if you've got to go to a website and you want to post about this show or any of the others that we have podcasts about the weekly books as well. You can go to www.ifanboy.com. I'm tired of that.
I didn't know anybody in high school like this or sounding like that.
Oh, I knew a lot of people like this. I knew a lot of people like this.
Nobody in my school dressed like that.
Oh, I know a lot of people
Middle
like
class
this.
white kids did that a lot.
Yes, more. Hot
It's
stop
the
it.
tragedy of being rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it's so sad.
Try living
Nobody
in a
understands
city.
me.
Or you can go to revision3.com/ifanboy and get a link to the forums there.
I don't want to be normal. 3, 2.
Hey, welcome to iFanboy, the video podcast with the comic book. I can't do this.
He's saying, don't ham it up.